Hello. So let's discuss some science fundamentals today. Let me just tell you right away, this is not a methodology course. I'm not here to teach you boring methodology, but I do have to show you stats through the lens of science, right? Stats is a tool used by scientists at the end of the day. So I just want to show you what science is, very basics, just a quick recap. Won't take too long. Number one question, man, why do I have to learn stats if I'm doing a humanities course? Why can't I just gather some nice papers and write a beautiful essay, expressing my feelings? Well, you can absolutely do that. But the problem with doing that is that some dudes came up with Scientology, and that really sucked, okay? Scientology was basically a dude sitting down and writing some shit, and a lot of people believed it. And I'm here to tell you one thing for the rest of your life, maybe, which is do not believe in authorities. I mean, use science to your favor, okay? Do not fall for Scientology shit because life's too short. Let me tell you what the problem is with that. What's the problem with authority, right? So before science existed, before we had stats or any of those tools, truth used to come from authorities, right? So it's either going to be a credible source, maybe the church, or I don't know, your fucking boss, if you worked in the fields in the Middle Ages, or experts, or the Bible, or whatever, conjunction of words some old people came up with. Look, these are great. But the problem with authority and the reason why it sucks is that you could fall prey to other people trying to take advantage of you, right? So look, all of these institutions, they could have vested interests, right? So they could try to just manipulate you into doing something that makes them profit. So they're actually evil people. It could be something. But let's say, even if they're not evil, there's biases too. Maybe they think the world really works in a certain way and they write it oh yes, the sun revolves around the earth, right? So someone wrote that fucking text until we, empirically tested that. Cool. And the third thing is dogmatic beliefs, shit oh yeah, don't go for a swim after you eat because it's not good for you. I don't know if that's actually scientifically proven to be dangerous, but just because your grandma said that, because her grandma told her that, doesn't mean that you still have to not swim after eating any food, So, fuck authority, right? Because the result of authority is fake news. It's the world we're living in today. What is a fact? No one can agree, on what a fact is. So, fortunately, there's science. Science is amazing. Why? Because we use this empirical cycle, right? So if you've probably heard of this, you can pause and just go over these things, but basically you observe something, you make an induction, and then from that induction, make a deduction, and then you test whatever theories you came up with during that induction-deduction phase, and then you evaluate if the results of your test align with your theory or not, and then you go back to the beginning, more observation. So it's a cycle. It goes on forever. It's never ending. It's never truthful, and it's always debunkable. So why do I say these three things? Why do I say it's never truthful? Well, you're going to see today that science is all about staying humble. So let's repeat our motto out loud. Always humble. Okay. Science is you're always free to criticize whatever you're looking at. And this is great. But you might ask me, hey man, how would that ever stop fake news? Isn't fake news just all about criticizing truths? And I'm like, yes, it is. But there's this field called philosophy of science, and this is very important. It's basically asking questions like, what is reality? What is knowledge? Respectively, they're called ontology and epistemology. They're very interesting questions. I'm more interested in another question, which is, related to those two fields, but it's the question, what is not science? What can we categorize as not science, right? So I don't want to know what science is. I just want to define what it isn't. And Karl Popper had this question, right? He was like, let's take religion out of science. Let's take all of these other like dogmatic beliefs out of science. And it was like, how can we do it? And he thought for a very long time. And he got to this conclusion of falsification. So what it is, and it's very important, let's shine sun rays through it. Falsification is amazing because falsification is telling us that we can only call things science if it's possible to prove it wrong. If it's possible to prove it wrong. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take a statement. So this is a statement, probably not verbatim, but it's a statement coming from a Scientology book, okay? Scriptures. And it's saying that the universe was created by a spirit called Satan. Yeah? This shit's not falsifiable. Okay, we can't go back to Big Bang times. Like, we don't have ways to measure. We don't have ways to go back in time, right? So that's already a limitation. So we can't falsify this shit. So this is clearly not science because it's not possible to falsify it. So I'm not interested in this statement. Cool. But now let's look at another statement. The earth is flat. Well, this seems to be rather falsifiable, right? Okay, so let's try to falsify the statement, the earth is flat. Someone has this fucking theory. So we walk up to them and we say, hey, my man, let me take you up to space to see Earth for yourself. And then they go, sure. And then you go up to space and then you're out at like the International Space Station. And you're like, fuck, look at this. See now, the damn thing is round. Wait. And this guy's mesmerized, right? And the other guy finally tells us, no, these are just LCD screens. Fuck, man. They would just say that these are LCD screens built behind the window, right? They're like, I don't believe that this is an actual view of the Earth. We're in space, but you are reptilian. You work for NASA, and fuck you, and I don't believe you. The Earth's still flat. So it turns out that this fucking statement of the Earth is flat is actually not falsifiable. Not falsifiable either, right? Why is it? Because this piece of shit won't let go of his initial theory, okay? In science, we stay humble. What does that mean? That means that if you bring me the evidence, I'll consider it in good faith, and I will question my own theory, okay? I won't be an asshole saying, yeah, I'm always right. But not only that, in science, there must be consensus of the criteria that would prove my theory to be incorrect. So in advance, we can agree, hey man, I have this theory, but if you bring me this other evidence, I will declare that my theory is incorrect. You know, it's a fucking dialogue, man. Otherwise, what are we doing?